We are live. Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast. I am Drew Martin, joined by Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger. We got Kelly Stewart coming along in just a minute. Guys, we are breaking down Sweet 16. Also a short recap here on what's happened in the tournament. A little Vegas recap as well. And like always, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Use the promo code HUSTLE for 10% off, and you can get it shipped anywhere. Also, going live here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, Hustle Show Pod on Twitter, going around the horn here with two guys that are still alive after a heck of a week in Las Vegas, betting games, having a good time in the sports book. First up here, CTBet16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, welcome in, buddy.
Drew Martin Betts, it's good to see you. It's weird not seeing you down in the Westgate lobby or in the sports book. I am alive. I can't say I feel like a crisp $100 bill, but I'm alive. I'm here. We're back to work. And I'm not going to sit here and bitch like Trig. He thinks he's the only one that didn't get any sleep. We're all in the same boat. So it's good to be back, and it's good to see your smiling face, Drew. You always make my day.
Hey, likewise, buddy, and good to hear that. Thanks for the kind words. I'll tell you this. I've already slept 2 nights. Well over 10 hours each night. So I'm feeling a little bit recharged since returning from Vegas. And a guy I do know was behind on sleep because I could tell it in his eyes, yet he still didn't give up on the weekend. He had a good time in the sports book. I don't know how he did overall, but I can tell you this, you had a smile on your face a lot of the time, Trig. So it was fun hanging out with you, buddy. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Drew? Yeah, it was a great weekend, fun-wise, not the best weekend betting-wise. Saturday was a good day. Sunday gave it back, which is, it is what it is. Still a good time. Great to see everyone. And I caught up on sleep. Last night I went to bed early, and I slept as late as I've slept in a while. Woke up to Kelly texting me, telling me I need to be on WagerTalk today in like 30 minutes. So we got that done, and now I feel like we're back in the mix here. So hopefully we can get it going this week and close the college hoop season out on a winning note.
Absolutely, man. Check out Trig on WagerTalk.com. Guys, a lot of free plays up and available at WagerTalk.com. And also, make sure to be checking out the WagerTalk live odds screen. It's the best free live odds in the industry. So when we're breaking down these games, going over what the odds are, both sides and totals, that's where we're going to be going off of. And like always, guys, we start off with the recap section here. Now, I know going into the first round, we did very well on the Wednesday show, I believe, Trig. With our best bets anyway, but I'll throw it over to you. Any recap section we need to get out there before breaking down the games?
Yeah, so let's recap the last show. Wednesday went pretty good. Chris had a best bet on Notre Dame, which won, which we grinded home at dinner, which is a story in itself. That was a good time, and we should touch on that after the recap section. My best bet on Wednesday's show was Northern Iowa, which did win. I lost with Toledo, which was also a Wednesday game. Kelly's best bet won on Vermont, gets there in the end, covers the 4.5 or the 5 by a point. Ones we lost, LSU, Virginia Tech, both fell short. But maybe the best sort of bet I actually said I thought this was the best bet made on the show last week. Chris at the Westgate, that Kansas over 2.5 wins got plus 110. Thought it was a good bet then, and it looks even better now with Kansas as like a 7.5 or an 8-point favorite in the Sweet 16, which I believe would get that one home for him. I thought it was a good spot for St. Mary's last week. They won huge, and probably we'll have to see what the official scoring on this was, but Benny, I think Uncle Benny made every single dinner. I think the only night he didn't make dinner was the night that like no one went to dinner. So we'll have to get it. We'll have to check the rules on Kelly's under 3.5 dinners bets, because we only went to 3 dinners, but he made all 3. So we'll have to see how we got to grade that one.
Yeah, did he make the first night dinner?
No, we put him in the cab while we were watching the NB game. Put him in the cab to go home. Any UB phone home. That was that night.
That's right. He made the little appetizer section, did not make dinner. Good call, Chris.
He was asleep at cocktail hour on my shoulder around 4:30 Pacific time. And we put him in the cab at halftime of that Notre Dame game. Sent him back home.
But we got to talk about that Notre Dame game for a second, because Kelly wasn't even there, so we should hit it now. That was like that might have been one of the wildest, just like in public, surrounded by normal human beings, like grind sessions that I've ever had on a game. We had a table full of people rooting for Rutgers. I thought Chris was going to get us tossed from the restaurant at one point, screaming. I mean, this is like a nice restaurant. I refused to order my dinner until I knew if Notre Dame won or not. It got intense there for a while.
Well, we had that table behind us, Drew Martin Betts, and every time Rutgers scored, they'd be like, "Not tonight, not tonight," and they knew that we were cheering for Notre Dame. So we all know it went into double overtime. Notre Dame gets the win, and so what do I do after Notre Dame wins? I scream at the top of my lungs, "Not tonight!" and staring right at that table. So that was nice to grind that game out. We had a ton of us there. Good way to start the trip. And, Carmine from WagerTalk, he had the party bus. We're riding around on the party bus. We had the queen on there. She's dancing on the pole. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was sleeper, guys. It was the first night, like, we were all together. It was Wednesday night before the tournament. And I forget where the place was called, but everybody's like, oh, this is a little bit like a mafia-ish place. And when you walk in, it's a nice restaurant. And it's like Trig's saying, it's a lot of normal people, and there's people watching the games, and it's a really nice restaurant, eating and stuff. And this other table is yelling the whole time, because CT Bets is, if you've ever watched a game with him that he's betting, it's kind of a in-your-face, like, wild, fun time to watch a game with. You want to be betting with him, not against him. I don't know. I've never really done that part of it. But with him, it's a good time. And every time he's yelling at the game, because it's going back and forth, the other table, I'm like looking over, everybody's like, oh, this is a mafia. I'm like, are they going to start shooting us? Like, what's going on? Are we going to have to fight these people? And then we have Prop Queen with us, and she's just throwing grenades. For some reason, she sees me and sees like an ex-boyfriend or something. She hates me. She's like, oh, this and that. And she's like, your girlfriend in Colombia. I'm like, actually, my girlfriend's from Mexico. And, it was just all over the place. And it was a wild dinner. And, yeah, it was wild, man. And to tell you the truth, out of all the times we were hanging out, that might have been the most fun, because it was back and forth. It was really a good time at that one. All the dinners were fun, but that one I wasn't expecting much, and it was a really fun time, guys.
Yeah, that was awesome. That place, Kelly just reminded us the name of the restaurant, and it's called Piero's. Awesome place near the Westgate, Italian, old school place. Great food. And it's awesome. We were sitting right in the bar and literally had 4 or 5 TVs right above us to watch the game, and grinded Andy home for us all.
That was like the coolest, nice restaurant bar setup I think I've ever seen. Like, I had no idea that room was like basically a sports bar. There was 4 huge TVs. That was perfect. Like, that's a perfect place to watch a game if you want to go to a nice upscale restaurant. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And Carmine still does not know. Carmine still doesn't know that Chris and I were on Notre Dame, because I think he asked us 7 times at dinner, oh, who you guys got here?
Yeah,
oh, we're on Notre Dame. What's the spread? Oh, we got pick. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, oh, you guys need something in this game? Are you guys?
Yeah. Oh, you guys are at least. No, Carmine, I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs for no reason in this beautiful restaurant.
Yeah, Carmine was a good time. He was a wild card that night. He was throwing them back. Right. So I'm sure most of our viewers out there that have bet enough games, you got the friend with you that's had too much to drink, or not too much, but a lot to drink, and he keeps asking you what you're sweating out 5 or 6 times. It can be annoying, but at the same time, it was a lot of fun that night. Carmine's always a good time. So yeah, recap section in the books. Good start to the show, guys. We got the games to break down. Reason people clicked on the video here. So we got big game rundown, Sweet 16 style here. Trig, you got a game you're looking at, man, in this upcoming round, one that you're looking to bet, or even NIT, College Basketball Classic. Is this thing, by the way, the College Basketball Classic? I know you're kind of a small college basketball conference guy. Is this going to finish? Because they had 10 teams and they have to make the tournament out of it because a couple teams quit at the end. What's going on there?
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do with the college. It's the Basketball Classic. It used to be the CBI or the CIT. And I think that's the one that's in danger of not finishing, because we've got Middle Tennessee State and Wilmington are playing for the CBI championship as we speak. It'll be interesting to see. As far as I know, they're going to try to finish it. Fresno State, I believe, plays in it tonight, and the game is still on the board. So I guess we'll see. It'd be nice for them to at least try to play for a championship, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I would think it's going to finish too. And some of these small conferences are a lot of fun, and especially for sports bettors because, we used to have the Vegas 16. Now we got one in Daytona Beach, whatever that one is, but that one's cool. So yeah, hey, they're all good bets here, guys. I guess to start off for the big game breakdown, guys, what about this Miami team, the Canes, up against Iowa State? I did a video on it on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets, by the way, shameless plug. But I like the better coach here. We get Larinaga, extra prep time. I think we get the better guards as well. We just saw Miami kind of knock off Auburn with the better guard play. And I think that translates here to the Iowa State game. We've seen a flip favorite. A lot of the big money, at least early money, tends to be sharper money on the Miami Hurricanes. I think it's right, guys. We saw this go from +1 on the Canes all the way to -2.5. I mean, considering we're in the month of March, a more efficient market, more eyeballs on the sport, to see that big of a move, I think it's worth noting here, guys. I think it's the right side. Look, it's a little bit tougher of a travel spot for the Canes. Obviously, Ames, Iowa, closer to Chicago, Illinois than Miami, Florida. But overall, I think this Iowa State team, their first round game against LSU, I lost on it, but obviously LSU's had problems really all season long, never really living up to expectations. I kind of took it on the chin, wrong side there. But even coming back in their next round game, the round of 32, beating Wisconsin's best player, Johnny Davis, he's kind of banged up. How legit are these two wins? I'm not really sure. Now they're going up against Miami in a double-digit seed. Both teams are double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. That's kind of rare. I think actually the Miami Hurricanes are worth a bet here, guys. I bet it earlier at -125 on the money line. Now the money line's to -145. So I would actually change the bet to currently Miami -2.5. I would lay the points here. But for big game rundown, that's the game I'm choosing here. The Canes -2.5. CT bets, man. What do you got for big game rundown?
Sure, Drew Martin Bets. I'm going to tomorrow night, 9:39 Eastern, and that's Texas Tech versus Duke. Coach K, swan song here. Drew Martin Bets, I've been high on this Texas Tech team all year long. Mark Adams is my coach of the year. What he has done with this Texas Tech program is absolutely amazing. Bunch of these kids stuck around. They didn't take off when Chris Beard left for Texas in the offseason. And these kids really love and respect Mark Adams. Drew Martin Bets, not sure if you know this or not. I was talking to my brother on his way home from work on the phone yesterday, and he was asking me who I like. I said Texas Tech. And he goes, it really scares me because Chris Beard's gone. Now we don't know what these kids are going to do. I said, Steve, did you not know Mark Adams was the brains behind the operation? He's the one who developed that lockdown defense for the Texas Tech Raiders. He's been a longtime assistant at Texas Tech. He was Chris Beard's right-hand man, and Beard relied on him for a lot of things. So these kids stuck around for him, and look what he's done. He's brought this team with no expectations to the Sweet 16. I was on Sparty last week, right, with Kelly, with Drew, with our buddy Joe Ranieri. We sat there and we watched that game. I was very surprised that Sparty hung with them that long. It was more of a numbers play for me on Sparty. And look what we did, right? Michigan State was up 5 with 4.5 to go, and they don't cover 7. That was absolutely ridiculous. Texas Tech is a much better team than Michigan State. I have them rated a lot higher. Texas Tech has been banged up all year long. Now they're finally fully healthy. McCullough and Shannon both missed a ton of time. They are back. They're playing well. Texas Tech, #1 defense in the country. They're very big. They're athletic. And I think they give Duke a very, very tough matchup. They should be able to play great defense and score at the same time. Duke doesn't know what the definition of defense is, as we saw versus Michigan State and kind of all year long. I gave out Texas Tech on this show to win this region, the West region, +550. I expect them to move on as well tomorrow night and advance. Drew Martin Bets the Elite 8, Texas Tech Raiders -1 for CT Bets. Big game breakdown.
The Red Raiders, guns up here from CT Bets. CT Bets, hey, I agree with your whole analysis. I do want to ask you one question for pushback here. Are you worried at all about Coach K getting some calls, who the NCAA wants to advance type deal, his last kind of swan song here, his grand finale? Does that worry you at all?
Well, I mean, I'm not one to complain about the refs, but we saw what happened last weekend, right? Coach K, in my opinion, got a lot of calls there to help them out. But I think that Drew Martin bets that this is finally going to be too big of a spotlight for these kids. They had to come back. I mean, these are young kids. Texas Tech, very experienced, a lot of transfers. Shannon Senior, been there for a long time. These kids know how to bear down here and play against adversity. And I think that they're going to be able to overcome it. Yeah, they might get a call here or there. Drew Martin bets. I think Texas Tech is going to have enough firepower and enough to be there and be disciplined and to advance Drew Martin bets.
Okay, fair enough. Looking guns up here. Texas Tech from CT Bets. Big game rundown. Trig, what do you got, man?
Now, we'll stay on tomorrow night, and we'll talk about Gonzaga, Arkansas. We'll throw out there, on this show, Chris and I gave out Arkansas to win the whole thing. I think we took 80-1. I think when we did the show, it was still 75-1. So nice to have that still alive going into the Sweet 16. Big ask right here, though. This is will be a challenge. This is all the way up to 9.5 right now. But I think that's too many points. I had the pleasure of watching Memphis Gonzaga with both of you. I had Chris on one side who needed Memphis. That was his bet. I had Drew Martin bets on the other side who needed the over. Both of those got there, and I actually think the final score was a little bit deceiving. Memphis was in that game. I mean, they led it by 10 at halftime. They were right there until late. And I would argue that Arkansas is a better Memphis. Like, if you look at how those teams are built, I think Arkansas is a more polished version of Memphis. Now, obviously, there's different things in play, right? Like, Gonzaga is going to have a couple days to prepare. It's not the quick turnaround like the first round. Of course, one would think Gonzaga is going to be a little bit more alert. They didn't exactly come out strong in either of their first round games. But I think Arkansas can hang around here. Arkansas is not going to be able to survive a 7-minute scoring drought like they did against New Mexico. If they go cold, they're going to get blown out. But I think Arkansas, with the style, the way this game is going to probably be played a little bit faster than Vermont and New Mexico State. And I think that sort of caters to what Arkansas wants to do. I also think Arkansas's guards are big and physical. Gonzaga tends to struggle with physical guards. And Arkansas, their defense is good enough, in my opinion. And they're physical, they're fast. And I just see them as like a more polished version of Memphis. So Memphis had a 10-point lead at halftime. Memphis hung around with them. I think if Arkansas can avoid the scoring drought, they get the money against 9.5 without much issue.
I like it, Trig. And I actually 100% agree with you. Even in their analytics, like when you go look at Ken Palm, Memphis and Arkansas, they kind of are very similar analytics. When you watch them play, it's kind of the same style of play. They both have talent, and both of their coaches kind of attack the game the same situation. That's why I'm with you. I think Whoopi's Pig Suey here plus the points, man. You feel real confident about it, huh?
And I'll throw one more thing out there with Arkansas. They probably couldn't have shot it worse last weekend. I mean, they shot the ball so bad last weekend that I have to think like even just, some just Murphy's like positive regression 101, right? Like it couldn't have shot it worse last weekend. I know it's a better opponent, but maybe the shots start falling for the Razorbacks this weekend because they gutted out 2 games that they easily could have lost with how, I think they had 7-minute scoring drought against New Mexico State, and I know they went a little cold against Vermont as well. So maybe we see Arkansas just get hot and start making some threes.
Yeah, they're due. The Arkansas Razorbacks, 80-1 ticket to win the national championship from CT Bets and Adam Trigger. Holding on to that one, guys, as we are right on time, 6:20 Eastern time, ready for our main event of the show. That is Kelly Stewart. And guys, reminder here, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. It is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations. It was created with the active lifestyle in mind. I know a person that likes Viva Tequila Seltzer and had a good time in Las Vegas. Kelly, welcome in. How you feeling?
Speak for yourself, Drew. I would not say I had a great time. I had some great moments, but overall, I can't wait to go to the Bahamas next year for March Madness.
What, you're going to Atlantis?
I don't know where I'm going. Anywhere but Las Vegas. That's my plan. WagerTalk's already talking about dragging me back there in August for a football party, customer appreciation, and I'm like, really? Come on, didn't we have enough fun? Had a really good time overall. Got to meet some really fun WagerTalk customers and a lot of people that follow the hustle. So yes, drank a lot of Vivas, lost a lot of money. Yeah, glad to be back in Florida. That's for sure.
Yeah, a little relaxed. You know what, Kelly? Maybe we could propose this to the higher ups, Johnny Detroit, Rick, and everyone. Maybe we do it again, but like someone like yourself, you get a little bit more off time in between events, because going back-to-back days like that all day, that'd be tough for anybody.
Yeah, I think, look, it wasn't necessarily just that. Like, we met proxy customers that won the millions. One night I had to work for Barstool a couple of days. We had the podcast. We had our hustle party. We had the Wager Talk party. And then come Saturday, it's like I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, West Coast. Like, you just got to keep that train moving at that point in time. Didn't even eat dinner at Barry's Saturday night. I was about 85 glasses of wine deep by that point. And of course, had to donate a little bit of money to the Circa Casino before I left.
Yeah, that one, by the way. Trig was leaving, guys. What Kelly's talking about, we went out to dinner, all of us, like 20 people at Circa. Great dinner at Barry's. And then we go hit the tables after. I get up like $150, Kelly, and I'm feeling good. I'm about to cash out. Trig's leaving, and I'm like, all right, I'm catching a ride with Trig out of here. I'm up on Circa. This is a great way to end it. Sure enough, Miss Bear, Kelly are like, no, don't leave. And I sit back down, lose 250, and I'm like, thanks, this is wonderful. I'm out of here now.
Yeah, well, add 0 Drew Martin bets, and then maybe you can feel my pain. Chris and I were sitting at a table with, this is how it is. Like, I hate blackjack dealers that are negative or don't smile or don't interact. Like, they don't have to wear masks anymore. There's no more plexiglass. Like, have a good time. Like, have a good time. And this chick was just really insufferable. I saw another table open up. Me and Chris beelined it over there. I just doubled up my stack, and I'm getting ready to go. And I don't remember what exactly happened. Some guy sat down, I think, Chris, and just completely ruined our mojo. And that was about all she wrote.
Yeah, that guy sat down, totally screwed up the shoe. Myself, Kelly, and the Queen.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to give you guys some etiquette. Sorry, Chris. I'm going to give you guys some blackjack etiquette 101. Just because I'm nice and say, sure, you can sit in, I can't tell you no. Like, but the answer is no. Wait till the end of the shoe, period.
Right. That's just blackjack 101. It's blackjack 101.
And maybe there's still 3 or 4 decks left, and we're going on a cold streak, and I'm like, hey, you can hop in if you want. Like, if there's a group of people playing and you just plop yourself down and it's like, all right, you guys mind if I join it? Well, you've already got your chips in the circle. Might as well, sir.
Yeah.
That was late. I left Circa at 2:45 a.m. So you guys
I don't
must
know
have
what
played
time
till
this
like
was.
4 in the morning.
I can't honestly tell you.
Uncle Benny and Amanda left at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that is out.
Yeah, Uncle Ben
already
did say
back
that the
up
sun
at
came up.
Yeah, we saw the sun come up, and then we walked back in the Westgate at 6:30 in the morning, and we felt necessary to hit the roulette wheel for a little while before we went to sleep.
Oh, yeah, even better.
So we touched all the bases there, Cal.
By the way, guys, for next year, we're thinking about doing an Uncle Benny segment where he comes in and gives his best bet. He's a really funny, like, bigger guy from Canada, drinks a lot. That's who we're talking about. And one cool thing I saw, Kelly, was Brett came up because he had like $2,000 worth of chips in front of him, and Brett just takes it. And like Benny's like, "Where's my money? Like, where's my money?" And it's like a known thing. Like, he's drunk, he doesn't want to lose it, and Brett's doing him a favor and then gives it to him the next day. I thought that was kind of cool.
I have done that to Uncle Ben at least 5 times in my life. He will keep playing, like, just black out, just keep playing until it's all gone. And obviously, the longer you spend at the tables, the odds are significantly against you. And I think he still won like $900. But yeah, Brett snagged a couple of those yellow chips. I think Mrs. Bear snagged a couple of yellow chips from him. So he was pretty happy on Sunday morning when he woke up.
Yeah, good for Benny. And that's a good kind of like group friend process there to help your buddy out when he's blackout. Just give it back to him the next day.
Yeah, because he was on a heater. I don't know what he bought in for. I wasn't sitting next to him. I'm guessing maybe a nickel. But he was up 4 or 5 dimes, and I already saw the writing on the wall. So when Brett said, "Hey, I'm going to steal some of his chips, back me up here," I said, "Go for it." Man, it would have been bad if Ben really used his size against you. It'd be very bad. So luckily, he's a really nice guy, because I don't think I would want to poke the bear, if you will, the polar bear that is. But he's just the best.
Oh yeah, he's a good time, guys. If you haven't met him, we'll try to get him on next year for best bets or something. But guys, let's open it up to the games tonight, games for Sweet 16. Kelly, did you have your eyes on any, or you want to just kind of go down here every game on the board and we can just chime in on them?
We can do every game on the board. I know we don't have a ton of time to do that. I have the same best bet as Chris, so we can make that one quick at the end. I heard you guys talking 2 games that I did go ahead and bet. I bet 3 games so far for Thursday and Friday. One is Texas Tech. I did bet them on the money line. I think Texas Tech comes in, wins this game for all the same reasons that Chris said. We've been really high on this team all year long. Clearly haven't missed Chris Beard, and that's pretty awesome for Lubbock, Texas, because usually when you lose a coach like that, your program can really suffer. But Chris nailed it, and that wasn't something that I saw on this team until late January. So I jumped on the train a little bit late, but I'm going to ride it into the station. They are my national champion. We'll see if they can't get there. But you did kind of worry me when you mentioned Duke getting calls. We do know that sometimes these blue blood programs, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, and so forth, do get calls. And then I actually am on Iowa State. I know it sounds kind of crazy. I was on Iowa State on Sunday. This is an Iowa State team that is just so horrific on offense. It just makes you cringe to bet them. But on the flip side, you know, we saw what they're able to do defensively. That Wisconsin game almost put us all to sleep. I mean, Sunday morning, not only with the hangover, with the exhaustion, that game was so boring. And I think it's going to be an interesting dichotomy between them and the Canes. See who comes out in the wash. Ken Palm makes the game 1. I make the game a pick 'em. I'm looking at this going, you want to give me 2.5? Fine, I'll take it.
Yeah, Kelly, you bring up some good points for Iowa State. I mean, plus the fact, the Big 12 has 3 teams left. Now, the ACC still has 2, so these are kind of the 2 best conferences, at least, you know, in the tournament, how they've performed so far. So you can put that up against each other. But you're right, this ugly offense, and it's still kind of like a toss-up game here, that might actually point towards the Cyclones. So, hey, it's a point there towards Miami. Texas Tech as well, agreeing with CT Bets. I kind of like that side. To Trig, what are you thinking here? I guess just top of the card, Houston, Arizona, Michigan, Villanova. You like either of those 2 games, or what you want to hit?
Yeah, I'll talk about Michigan, Villanova for a second. I lean Michigan. I talked about this a little bit earlier on on WagerTalk today. I think this is a really good matchup for Hunter Dickinson. He's kind of emerged as the player he was always supposed to be for Michigan. He's going to have a nice size advantage, and Villanova's going to have a hard time guarding him, in my opinion. Like, if Michigan can game plan correctly and have him be the focal point, I think that they can either if they speed up Villanova, Villanova likes to play slower, or B, if they want to go and play the Villanova style, they can do it through Dickinson and potentially have a nice matchup there. And, you know, Villanova is a team, I think we all kind of like lean toward Ohio State in the last round. They had that game down to 2, and then like kicked the ball off someone's foot for 4 straight possessions, turned it over. All of a sudden, Villanova was up 8 again, and they couldn't really recover. Michigan, I just see as a little bit more of a clean. They play cleaner game than Ohio State. I don't see them making the same mistake there. And it comes back to, I feel like you see this every single year. You have a team that comes into the season ranked in like the top 5 that everyone is really high on. They struggle during the regular season, and they like sort of find their footing in March and then make a deep run into the tournament. I think that's Michigan this year. They were AP number 5. They sort of went away for a while, 11 seed in the tournament. Now I think they're sort of hitting their stride and could maybe be that team that everyone thought they were going to be. So I think Chris has a Michigan ticket somewhere to win this whole thing. I think they get by Villanova here. I'll take the points, but I actually think they could win this game.
Interesting, Trig. Sorry, Drew. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I obviously do a show with Megan Making Money on Wednesdays as well. She and I talked about this game, and while I'm not going to get to the window with either team, she asked me about the Ken Palm luck factor. Did you guys know that Michigan is one of the luckiest teams in NCAA? I thought that was really interesting. And I'm kind of wondering when we start to see some of that regression for those luck factors, because they looked really good against Tennessee and made me eat my words because I didn't really necessarily think they deserved to be in the tournament. They got in as an 11 seed and they have just played out of their minds, frankly.
And Kelly, you bring up like luck factor, Ken Palm luck factor. Look, Providence was one of those teams as well. Like,
yeah, Providence, tons of luck.
Yeah, in terms of handicapping it though, how much do you put into that? Because sometimes I feel like luck kind of coincides with just kind of experience, good point guard play, and then you win close games. So do you just think it's pure luck, and there will be regression, or some of this is actually like, how the team is built?
So I think if you use that as a handicapping tool, it's probably not worth anything, right? I don't. Yeah. It was just a question that Megan asked me because I said, man, I feel like Michigan's a really lucky team. She goes, well, if you've got Ken Palm open, will you look? And I looked, and if sure enough, I just feel like there's a lot of calls that go their way. They've had some really great comebacks this season. Even losing Jawan Howard, they didn't seem to really miss a beat. Now, no disrespect, they've got great athletes. They're fairly experienced, but I don't take the luck factor at all. And in fact, I hadn't looked at it all season until today. But it is something it's interesting to think about, because if they're one of the luckiest teams, are we going to see a point where not only are they playing above their ability, but maybe the bookmakers are starting to overvalue this team? And I've got Nova in my Final Four. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Obviously, bets over brackets. I'm going to probably stay away from this one, but really interesting to hear that Trig likes Michigan to win outright.
I got a quick quote I want to read. I want to read this quote from Ed Cooley, Providence head coach. He said, there's an analytic for luck, and we have embraced it. Now I think it's time for an analytic for grit and determination, because we might lead the nation in that as well. I don't know. The whole luck thing is what it is, but some of luck is like being clutch and being able to grind when the chips are down. So
last note on that one, Trig, do you know who the best free throw shooting team in the country is?
Offhand, probably it's Villanova, right? I think Villanova's number one.
Look, we just got these made. They did not get made in time they got made in time. They didn't get shipped to my house in time for me to bring them for you guys to Vegas. So I've got all of yours sitting here. Make your effing free throws. I swear I screamed it about 100 times this weekend, maybe tweeted it at least 8 times. But that is one thing that I think that game's going to come down to, and that does concern me. If it comes down and Villanova's getting the whistles and they're shooting late free throws, we can see those last 2 minutes get really, really out of hand.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened against Ohio State. I mean, Villanova was able to kind of ice that game in the final couple minutes. So, again, I just like the matchup for Michigan. I think they if the coaching is there and they do the right things, I think Michigan can pull another upset. But
hey, Kelly, good point. And I love those T-shirts because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can almost guarantee the correlation between teams that shoot good free throws and ATS records is very highly correlated. Like this -5, you want Villanova to knock down their free throws. Sure enough, they do. I just think across the board, that's very correlated. CT Bets, any thoughts there? And if you want to throw out another game, man.
Yeah, I didn't really have a side yet on Michigan Nova. Probably a game that I'm going to watch and maybe get some live action down. But a lot of people have been asking me what I'm doing with my Arkansas future from 80 to 1. And I think what I'm going to do, Drew Martin Bets, is we've seen Gonzaga kind of struggle in the first half of both games this year. This tournament. They were up 2 to Georgia State, I believe, in the first round. And then they were down 10 to Memphis. And we saw what this Gonzaga team does. It's like a light switch. I was very happy being up 10, having a Memphis ticket, Drew Martin Bets. Also terrified at the same time because 10 for Gonzaga, they could score that in a minute, just like that. And then the other team doesn't even know what hit them. And that's what we saw in the second half of that Zaga game versus Memphis. They come out and they just hitting shots. And bing, bang, boom, they're right back in it. So what I think I'm doing, Drew Martin Bets, is you can't take -500 on the money line with Gonzaga. I think I'm going to play Arkansas first half. And at the same time, I think Arkansas will stay with them at the beginning and pretty much through the first half. I'm worried about that game, Drew Martin Betts. I think Gonzaga can probably cover that game. If they win, if Gonzaga wins, I think they cover the game. So what I'm going to do is play Arkansas first half, and I'm also going to wait to get a good number on Gonzaga live money line, which I believe you're going to be able to get a lot better than minus 500. So that's my play there to everybody asking what I'm doing with my 80-1 ticket.
Okay, I like it. Smart move there from CT Bets, a guy that knows his betting. Kelly, last question, because I know we got best bets coming up against the time-wise here. And by the way, welcome in Clint, J Buff, Paco, Brent, all you guys, Godfather, Jimmy J. Thanks for joining us live. Good to see Paco Healy, all you guys in Las Vegas, a bunch of you guys. Really cool
awesome
time to hang out with you.
Awesome to meet Paco.
Yeah, absolutely.
AC Money, we were hanging out with AC Money, my guy. He's the best. All you guys, we appreciate you guys coming out. It was a great time.
It really was. Kelly, my question to you, Providence, Kansas. Are you rooting for Providence? Where does your K-State kind of Kansas ties lie in this one?
You know, it's interesting because I think I'm going to end up having a Kansas ticket. Now, while I haven't bet them yet, I'm kind of looking at this one a little bit more. We were just talking about the luck factor, and this is a Providence team I wasn't that high on all year long, and I got smoked several times betting against this team. So I'm not sure I want to bet against them one more time. But it looks like to me that KU is the right side here. I mean, full disclosure, the Big 12, as you mentioned, Drew, has just been on a tear in comparison to, let's just call it your conference, the SEC. They've really shown up, showed some grit, and I really have liked to see that. My problem is, though, betting against this Providence team, I'd have to pull up my spreadsheet exactly and type it in. But I do not want to bet against them, I don't think. They've enjoyed a lot of success as an underdog, and they've beaten some really good teams. I know that they're in the Big East, and that sometimes gets pushed to the wayside, but I think the Big East is better than the Pac-12. Can this be a high-scoring game? I think so. If this is a high-scoring game, I think KU can pull away at the end. The thing is, though, with KU is they would probably like to play it in a lower scoring game because when their opponent scores 65 or less, they cover. So it kind of a lot of things that go back and forth here. That's where I'm at. Point blank period, the end. I don't want to bet against the Jayhawks. I hope they lose. I hope Providence wins the game outright, frankly. But I do have KU on my long list. I'm going to look at it a little bit further between now and tip-off. I'll tweet out my full selections for tomorrow, probably first thing in the morning. Yeah, I tried to make a case really hard for KU in this one, but I have just gotten smoked on betting against Providence this year.
Trig, did you want to jump in here? I could kind of see you chomping at it.
That's a tough one. That Kansas Providence game is tough because I've kind of been against Providence as well, but I feel like there might be a little value with Providence plus the points, but I think Kansas is going to win. So it's a hard bet for me to make because if I'm going to bet a dog, I want to feel confident that they're going to win. And I kind of picked Kansas as the team I thought could win this whole thing. I said at the top of the show, I thought Chris made a tremendous bet last week at the Westgate with Kansas over 2.5 wins. I still feel that is the case. So I don't know how I could. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to make it to the window with that one because even though I think there's some value against in the number, I just don't like betting teams that I don't think are going to win, and I just don't see Providence in the Elite Eight. I feel like Kansas is going to I feel like Kansas is in the Final Four. Like that's how I honestly feel about Kansas. I think they take these next two teams out, so probably nothing there for me.
Fair enough, Trig. And we got Paco Healy in the chat box saying, thank you guys for feeding me Vivas at the meet and greet. Ordering a case tonight, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Paco, remember to use the Hustle coupon code. It takes 10% off for you. And he says he's going to have Viva is going to be on tap for a San Diego Cinco de Mayo. He's obviously a Padres fan living in San Diego. Kelly, living in Florida here on the West Coast, or being there, back and forth from Vegas. Are you planning on going to any spring training games?
I thought about it. Honestly, I got to get to working on NBA here shortly. I'm just not a big baseball fan. I like going to baseball games. I really do. We had a great time when Boston came to Tampa and you guys all were in town to visit. Those playoff type scenarios. Going to, when I was in Boston last summer, that kind of stuff is a good time. Went to a couple Cubs games. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I'm going to work on my house and Make sure my dog stops hating me because I've been traveling the world all football season, now in basketball season. I'm supposed to go to New Orleans next week. It's a lot. So I think I'd rather spend some time on the lake, maybe catch some fish or, do something else with my time than sporting events.
Fair enough. Hey, spring training can be a good time, but hey, Kelly in Vegas got other things going, including the Final Four in New Orleans. Follow her on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Check her show out with Megan Making Money as well. Barstool Sports. We got The Hustle on Wednesday nights. We're also coming back on Saturday, 11 a.m. for a special Elite 8 show. So, guys, we got best bets coming up. And reminder, check out vivatequilaseltzer.com, promo code HUSTLE for 10% off. So we got best bets, kind of final thoughts for the show here. CTBets16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, he knows Viva very, very well. CT, what do you got for best bets? Final thoughts for the show, bud?
Drew Martin Bets. I know we're doing a college hoop show, and it's really the only thing going on that we're interested in. But I think we should talk about what the Miami Dolphins did today, Drew Martin Bets.
Yeah, let's do it.
They signed Tyreek Hill. Now, the Miami Dolphins will have the two fastest wide receivers in the league with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and it doesn't look like they are done yet. The Miami Dolphins, what offseason they have had. So you have to be pretty happy with that signing, Drew Martin Bets. The AFC looks scarier and scarier as the offseason goes on right now.
Yeah, I am happy. I really am. I think that Tua, getting this many weapons on the outside is a good, and signing the offensive lineman as well is just very beneficial
for the
offense.
He just now has to make those said throws. I mean,
exactly.
Tyreek can go out there and get those catches, but I'm still afraid they're going to be grossly under or overthrown or 10 yards that direction.
So there's a rumor going around Boston sports radio, and obviously you can't believe everything you hear, but a lot of people saying that they will not be surprised if Brady is not a Buck next year, and they are talking maybe Brady might get to the Dolphins. Heard that a lot today.
So, I mean, he does love Florida. I'll say that. Everything I've heard from him.
Right. So Tom Brady and those two and what they're doing right now, Dolphins could be dangerous, Drew Martin Bets.
They absolutely could. But, in terms of like negative vibes only, I want to throw this one out at you just from being a lifelong Dolphins fan. How come they always sign these big names after giving them a bunch of money? You know what I mean? They're already rich, and then they rely on them to keep playing at the same level. That's what worries me about this organization and the choices they've made in the past, that they sign these guys and give them a bunch of money in the beginning instead of making them work for it. If I could just be negative vibes only.
If you wanted to get Tyreek, it was going to be no different than Devontae Adams, right? Like you're looking at Tyreek, top 5 wide receiver. Whoever paid him the most is where he was going. There was forget who it was the other day. I think it was a defensive player. It sounded like he was going to go to the Ravens, and then now he signed in with the Vikings because he waited 4 more days. He got double the money. He literally was like, all right, the news came out that he was going to sign with the Ravens, I think. And I mean, I'm sorry, you got to chase the money while you're young. You could tear an ACL. You could get in a car wreck like we've seen multiple players do, go skiing, hurt yourself. Like there's terrible things that happen to people every single day. And if you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, what are you going to hide in your house? Probably not. But at the same time, you got to go out and, create some generational wealth for your family. And that's what I think we're seeing Tyreek do. And the Dolphins had the ability to write him a check.
Yeah, and Kelly, I don't argue with that, going out and getting money for sure. The Tyreek Hill side of things. It's more the Dolphins side of things because they've made splashy hires in the past. They just have a lack of playoff wins. And I'm trying to put why this is happening. And that's the reason that pops into my head.
I don't think Tyreek Hill makes you a playoff contender by any means. Again, I'm not sold on Tua, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But hey, new head coach. We'll see if maybe Tua can't hone his craft, maybe go get a couple of linemen. Give them a little bit more time. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't looked at their cap space yet to see how much money they can still spend, but $120 million is a lot of money. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. So hopefully he can still stay at the same kind of level production that he's done in the past. Guys, for best bets, I'm actually going to go to Texas A&M, the Aggies. Really because, look, 3 straight unders. They're playing good defense, 15-4. At home, playing at home, but even more so playing against the spread. We remember the run that they made in the SEC tournament at the end of the regular season as well. Wake Forest is a good team. I feel like I'm kind of reaching here, kind of a short card. But hey, the one game that I bet on tonight's card, it's the Texas A&M Aggies against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. 5-1 the last 6 against the spread at home. College Station tonight. I'm on Texas A&M, guys. So that's my best bet. CT Bets, not sure if you went on record with your best bet, but I'll throw it over to you. And any final thoughts?
Yep, I haven't yet, Drew Martin Bets, and I'm sticking with my best bet. And also is tomorrow night. I gave big game rundown, Texas Tech -1, and my best bet is the Houston Cougars +1.5 tomorrow night, the last game to tip, 9:59 Eastern. This is another team. When we did a college hoop show a month and a half ago, I gave out Houston Cougars to win the whole thing at 40-1, and I expect them to stay alive tomorrow night. Drew Martin Bets and advance over Arizona. Kelvin Sampson has his team rocking and rolling. He is a top 5 coach, and what he has done with this program has absolutely shown it. Houston has carried the momentum from blasting Memphis in their conference championship right into the big dance with wins over UAB and a smashing win over Illinois. The game wasn't even close. The score was a lot closer than it looked from the box score. Zona wins over Wright State. Then they have to play TCU. TCU played a hell of a game. They have to go to overtime to beat TCU. These Cougar kids are flat-out ball players, Drew Martin Bets. They're big. They could play defense like no other. Drew Martin Bets, they can get rebounds, led by senior Fabian White and 2 key transfers, Josh Carlton and Kyler Edwards, not to mention sophomore guard Jamal Shed, who's playing lights out as well right now. I will think that Houston would slow this Arizona team down. Arizona likes to play the game in the 80s. Houston will like to slow that down. Houston can score and play defense. Zona doesn't know the definition of defense. I like the Houston Cougars tomorrow, +1.5 to get the job done. They win tomorrow night. They advance to the Elite 8, Drew Martin Bets, and stay alive.
I like it. Brent and Alex in the chat box saying Houston Cougars as well at +2. Looks like the big money has pushed it off a +2. And like you said, CT Bets, transparency is key, giving out widely available numbers here. 1.5 with the Houston Cougars. Well coached. Good breakdown there, CT Bets. Actually, my number on Texas A&M, guys, I didn't give it out. -2.5 across the board. That's what I'm laying with the Aggies tonight. Saving the best for last. That's Kelly in Vegas. So Trig, just joking with you, man. Up next, where are you going for best bets?
Well, we have a battle of the Cougars tonight in the NIT. That's BYU playing Washington State. I'll just throw it out there. I don't have a ton of analysis on this one because it wasn't really a matchup I was looking at, but I know when it moved to 2, BYU got hit with a little sharp money, and it kind of makes sense. Washington State, a lot of public love as a dog. I think the betting public moved that to 2. If you can get a money line on BYU at -130, I've watched these 2 teams all year. I've been high on Washington State all year. I'm actually impressed with Washington State and how much they've sort of care about the NIT. I thought they might get caught sleeping in the early rounds of this tournament. They didn't. But in my opinion, they're just not quite as good as BYU, and it's a tough spot. It's a tougher spot, in my opinion, for Washington State. So BYU is a short favorite. Call it -130. I think BYU ends up in Madison Square Garden at this time next week.
Okay, and so just to clarify, so it's not -2. You're doing money line -130.
Yeah, that's just that's a personal thing, Drew. I think if it's -2, like if you can get -130 or better, I usually like to money line there. I'm not saying you could easily lay the 2. I just personally like to money line in that spot.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I do it up to 1.5, but -2 makes sense. So BYU -130 money line. We got Houston Cougars +1.5 from CT Bets. I'm on Texas A&M -2.5. Guys, reminder, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Our flavors pair perfectly with our Artisanal Blanco Tequila for subtle and refreshing drinks. Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, Kelly Stewart. Check her out at Barstool Bets and WagerTalk.com. Kelly, what do you got for best bets? Final thoughts for the show?
I'm over here yawning, Drew. I'm ready to go to bed. Actually, I got a massage appointment after this, so I can actually feel my body again. All jokes aside, Chris and I are on the same bet. I already told you guys that. I like Houston. It sounds so cliche at this point for me to say take the better defense plus the points, but they really are an elite defense. And this is, frankly, an Arizona team playing in the Pac-12 and they haven't played anybody. Every time they play a real team, they get beat. Let's see what else I got on my notes that CT didn't already say. That's pretty much about it. Chris nailed everything else. Look, in terms of the money line, I thought was really interesting here. Most money lines minus 125 Arizona, minus plus 105 Houston. That seems very, very off. So I'm going to take the 1.5 and hope that a bunch of people put Arizona in their money line parlays. Keep betting it up. Maybe I can't get plus 110, 115 with the Cougars. I think they win this game outright. I'm not sure what Zona's got left in the tank. And while you want to look at it or not, we haven't heard much else about the boob grab guy. But I heard rumors swirling that is being investigated. And what if all of a sudden we get news that one of their top players, I think he's a guard, is not going to be playing? I didn't quite catch the whole story, but the video evidence was interesting. Just couldn't get anybody to tell me what really happened there. Looked like a boob grab to me, but hey, what do I know?
Hey, I saw it. I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't?
Was that bad?
I don't know what else he was doing unless he was just walking right up to barely not touch her and just walk. I don't know. The video angle was rather interesting. Again, I'm not I wasn't there, so I can't tell you what happened or not happened. But it would be really interesting to see him play if it did happen. I'm here for it.
Hey, interesting stuff. All right. I mean, maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. A couple other points here towards Texas Tech. 22-14 against the spread. Number 1 defensive efficiency in the country. Number 10 in terms of defensive turnover percentage. So if they're able to turn Duke over, that will help both Kelly in Vegas and CT Bets. I'm going to jump on this one as well. Duke just 1-5 their last 6 against the spread. So all pointing towards guns up. Big 12 there. For Kelly Stewart, CT Bets, Adam Trigger, I am Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for joining in. Great to see everybody in Las Vegas. We'll be back Saturday at 11 a.m. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below if you like the show, guys. See you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Thanks for tuning in.